when the internet was the first thing, right? A lot of people freaked out. Like, what is the internet? Like, what is the World Wide Web, right? What are all these computers connecting to each other, right? All that stuff. And, think about it today. Can you imagine your life without the internet? I want you to think about that. Imagine your life without the internet. Hi, this is Coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to the Magellan Network Show. My goal inside of this communication, this show, is to share with you my nearly 30 years of coaching some of the most successful financial advisors in North America. We're going to be talking about strategies, syntaxes. We're going to be bringing guests on from time to time, and I'm going to share with you what's working now. So think of this show as sort of like a little one-on-one kind of mini coaching cast, if you like, where we're going to be going in depth from time to time on strategies to help you grow your business, get more effective, become more efficient, find balance in your time management, grow your business, and quite frankly, whatever else is going on in the world today. So before we get to today's episode, I'd love for you to do a couple things for me. Number one, make sure that if you're watching this on YouTube, that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're doing the audio, make sure that you give us a review on whether it's Spotify or Apple. We'd really appreciate that. And quite frankly, that does help. It does matter when you rate things and like things and subscribe to things. It helps us get the word out to more of the industry. And lastly, I have a very special gift for you. Go to MagellanNetwork.net, so one word, MagellanNetwork.net, and I have for you a complimentary membership, 100% gratis, where you can tap into about between 50 and 75 hours of masterclasses, forms, tools, templates, and strategies. So please go ahead and make sure you go ahead and get that claimed. Smash the like button and subscribe. And please go ahead and leave us a review on whatever podcasting platform you're on. And now, let's get to this week's episode. Hi, it's your Coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Hey, I've got a question for you. What do you think your game is going to look like in 5 years with all this automation? Everything we talk about now is AI this and AI that. So I want to dedicate this episode to what I believe is the future of advice for financial advisors. The reason why, quite frankly, we're having this conversation is last week I spent 3 full days in Winter Park, Florida, doing a 3-day training on the title was called Mastering the Art of People. How to coach, train, influence, and lead your clients, your team, your prospects, anyone that you care about. Now, why did I put that program together? First off is that I think a lot of advisors, especially younger advisors, tend to be a little bit more data-driven, a little bit more online-driven. And, having those interpersonal skills, those coaching skills, those rapport-building skills, I think it's just not being taught anywhere. And it puts our younger advisors at a massive disadvantage. It was really good in my room to see, a number of younger advisors, like 1 to 3 years in the business, really leveling up their people game very early in their career, which is going to pay forever. But one of the things I did talk about morning of day one was the kind of why we're here. And I'm going to kind of have that same conversation with you guys here in this episode. So in my mind, it's a foregone conclusion that AI is going to play a big part of financial planning, asset allocation, portfolio management, all those things, right? Tax planning, all those things, right? Why? Because it's basically information and data driven, right? Financial planning is information and data driven. Asset allocation is information and data driven. Portfolio management is information and data driven, blah, blah, blah. So whenever you have anything that's information and data driven, you can almost guarantee, if not today, in the very, very near future, there'll be an AI agent or agent, which is now the term, that will now do that task for us. So does that mean that advisors are going to become obsolete? No. In fact, I can make the argument that you guys, we all, become even more valuable because human beings still want to talk to humans, right? And In my lifetime, which hopefully I have in several more decades to go, and if you're a younger advisor in your lifetime, anybody who's watching or listening to this basically, people still want to deal with people. I mean, there's data, there's artificial intelligence, but artificial intelligence is not going to elicit emotions. This is where we go with this, right? So the future advice, or I can even say the present scenario of advice, is really about emotions. And I'm going to give you a great example when I used in our training. So when you either propose a financial plan or somebody wants a financial plan, what is it that they seek? Are they looking for a 87-page PDF or an 87-page nicely printed out colors with your charts and graphs, and you guys will bind it up really nice and make it very presentable? Is that what somebody wants? No. That's just the tool to get them to a certain place, right? So next, well, what do they want? Well, I can tell you, interviewing advisors and having them interview their clients, that the reason why people want financial plans is to avoid uncertainty, and to gain certainty, right? Now, when you hear the word certainty, a lot of people flash into the guarantee conversation. This is not about guarantees. This is about creating certainty in people, right? One of the primary drivers people hire a financial advisor is they want to diminish or eliminate as much uncertainty as they possibly can when it comes to their money. And they want to create as much certainty as they possibly can when it comes to their money. Okay. So certainty and uncertainty, if you know anything about Tony Robbins and 6 human needs, those are 2 of the 6 human needs, right? So in other words, what you're quote unquote selling is not a plan or a planning process. It is a defined set of outcomes that triggers an emotional state with a human being. And an AI will not do that. AI will give you information. It will give you advice. It will give you guidance at some point, but it will not create those emotions inside of it. Why? Because a human being is not transferring the emotions. So I have this we've built it in partnership with Delphi. We've built this almost now 4 million word AI tool, a coaching AI tool, okay? And, we spend a lot of weeks just uploading 31 years of content. And it is smart. I can almost say it's smarter than me, and it's my stuff. And I even ask it questions. Like when I'm looking for content or anything, I say, well, hey, I'm thinking about doing this podcast. Research in the last 30 years what I've talked about, put it in chronological order, and give me 12 bullet points, right? And boom, I get it. It's brilliant, right? When I read it, it's really, really good. But here's what it doesn't have: tonality, inflection, energy. In other words, I get the information, but I don't get the influence. Follow me? Massive difference. So I know a lot of advisors. In fact, I talked to one of my clients. He's bringing his daughter in the business. She went to college for something else. She did her first career for about 8 years. And now she's going to come and join our game. And one of the first questions she asked me, and she's like, 26, 27? Am I going to be replaced by AI? Should I even go into this career, or am I going to be obsolete in 5 years? And that kind of took me by surprise a little bit. I wonder how many young people are really thinking that, right? Is that a real thing? Hi, Coach Joe Lukacs here, and I'm just breaking here for a moment just to do a couple quick reminders. Number one, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel or our podcast. In addition, please leave a comment or a review. Those things really, really matter. And share this episode with 3 of your colleagues inside the financial services space. And lastly, make sure that you go ahead and claim your free membership inside of Magellan Network. Now back to this week's episode. And I told her basically what I'm telling you guys here, which is, well, look, we're going to be heavy AI driven, but make no mistake, right? Hey, people still want to deal with people. One of the examples, which is a great example, if anybody follows medical medicine or medical technology, there's something called the Da Vinci robot, and it does very, very precise surgeries on people, right? In fact, it's more skilled than most surgeons when it comes to precision, right? But here's what it's not going to do. It's not going to come visit you in the recovery room and tell you everything went perfect and you're good and here's what's going to happen and here's what the recovery looks like. I mean, the machine doesn't have empathy. AI doesn't have empathy. So until they figure that out, which hopefully they never will, but who knows, I believe that as long as we deal with people, that we are okay. Now, but what does that mean in terms of being effective? So if you're hanging your hat on your financial planning ability and your portfolio management ability and like your research and all that jazz, just look, let's be blunt. Those things will be AI driven if they're not already there. If that's your like trick pony, better get another pony. Where we're going to go is about taking information and having conversations with people and converting it to emotions. You're going to be coaching them. So one of the things I did last week in Winter Park, I spent 3 days teaching advisors how to coach using my 30 years of experience, which is really cool because it really forced me to sit down and say, well, yeah, how do I do what I do? How do I diagnose? How do I evaluate? And, I had to really kind of put it down on paper, which, believe it or not, I've never done in my entire career. Like, okay, what are my core philosophies? What are my strategies? Like, what are my syntaxes? And I put it all down, and we trained it for 3 days, and feedback was like off the charts. And the reason why I trained was because I wanted to give my clients, or actually anybody in the room, and whoever's on the live stream with us, I wanted to give them tools. This is where the puck is going, right, over the next couple of years. I mean, this is, I was reading an article, and so I'm old enough to remember when the tech revolution happened. And back in the, let's say, early 90s. Early to mid 90s, right? When everybody's walking around with those, well, not you guys, some of you guys remember this, some of you not. And you got those little AOL disc in the mail, right? To go sign up for American Online. Some of you are like, what's AOL? Like, what is that? Trust me, it was a thing. And that revolution, according to one of the articles I read, it took about 10 to 15 years, right? To really get there. And what they're saying is artificial intelligence will take 3 years, maybe less. So the pace change is going to be, for a lot of you, frightening. But it's going to happen. Look, it just is. I mean, the horse has left the barn as far as I'm concerned. The reason why I invested in my own AI clone is because I don't want to be chasing something. I want to be in front of it. And what I'm saying to everybody here who watches or listening to me is, don't run away from artificial intelligence. Don't run away. Don't be in fear. It's your thing. It's like if you're around long enough, some of you are, some of you weren't, when the internet was the first thing, right? A lot of people freaked out. Like, what is the internet? Like, what is the World Wide Web, right? What are all these computers connecting to each other, right? All that stuff. And, think about it today. Can you imagine your life without the internet? I want you to think about that. Imagine your life without the internet. Because there was a time in my lifetime, there was no internet. It didn't exist. It just didn't. And there were no cell phones. You literally had a phone in your wall or on your desk or on your nightstand. And back then it had cords, so you couldn't even wander around that far with it. And that's how you communicated with people unless you wrote them a letter or saw them physically. I'm old enough to remember that, and I look back that was like the dark ages. Like, think about that. I'm in my early 60s, and that is like the dark ages compared to today. And where are we going to be, in 10 years when I'm 71? Where are we going to be? We're going to look at, 10 years ago, AI. That was like the dark ages of AI. That was like the dumbest. And that's what I want to really let everybody know. We are in the era right now of the dumbest, stupidest version of artificial intelligence. And it's just going to get smarter every day. My AI, we train it every day with new content. My AI is getting smarter every day. The more my clients and members of the Magellan Network interact with it, ask it questions, ask it for advice, it gets smarter. That's scary, but cool, right? Is that going to make me obsolete? No, it extends me, right? Now, will there be some advisors that love the clone and they'll never want to hire me personally? Yeah, and that's okay. I can't work with everybody anyway. So I'm cool with it, right? The point I'm driving here for you guys is that your people skills, the ability to relate, build rapport, emphasize, and really just, connect with people to produce the outcome that they want emotionally is going to be the game. It just is. And it won't be about your information, because the information will be done by other agents, right? Artificial agents. And it just will be a thing. So one of the things I will, and then we'll wrap this up. One of the things I think is incredibly important, and I don't care if you do it through me, you don't have to. I would definitely think about taking some coaching courses. I would have you think about maybe getting certified as a coach to learn the skill sets, to learn, how to take the advice that your AI-driven financial planning agent's going to create, or your AI-driven portfolio, allocator is going to create. Take that and be able to have a conversation with a human being, and then link it to their needs, wants, wounds, emotional states, things they want to move towards, things they want to move away from. Like, there's all these frameworks that are powerful frameworks that when you help a person feel a certain way, they just love you. What I was telling the participants in the room, our game now is about how do we get our clients and prospects into the right emotional state, not about how we give them more information. There'll be artificial intelligence to give them all that information. But how do we put them in the right emotional state? How do we put them in a state of gratitude, the state of positive expectation, the state of abundance, the state of possibility? Like all those emotional states, all those triggers, how do we get them away from scarcity and survival and uncertainty, right? Things that will really mess up a human being. That's our game. That's the future of advice. Move them towards the emotions that they want. Move them away from the emotions they don't want. And guess what? We as human beings, you and I, are the best tool for that, for the very, very long foreseeable future. So that, my friends, is the future of advice for financial advisors. So if you liked this episode and you thought it was, provocative, worth your time, do me a favor, forward it to a couple of friends in the game, a couple of other advisors. If you haven't left a review on however you're consuming this, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, podcast, whatever, those reviews really do help our rankings. That gives us the opportunity to help more advisors, and I like that. And if you want to see what my AI tool can do, I'll give you 30 days with it. You just have to go to MagellanNetwork.net, request a 30-day trial. It's a little form and an application. There's no money involved. And you'll see what I'm talking about. So with that said, thank you for listening or watching this episode of the Magellan Network Show. And I will see you guys in 7 days. Thank you for watching or listening to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Hey, if any of this resonated with you, I invite you to come to MagellanNetwork.net, and we have a powerful group coaching community of like-minded advisors. Come in for a trial. You and I will have a one-on-one conversation. Let's see if I can help elevate your game both personally and professionally.